Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we'll start the session in some time. So, welcome to the third session of the day, and the session will be handled by Professor BMShashikala. Punya, are you there? Punya?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Fine. Welcome back and good afternoon to all. This is the third session of the fourth day of this FDP. And now our speaker is Professor BMShashikala from the Department of Computer Applications, SJCE, a constituent college of Science and Technology University. And I request Ms. Punya to introduce Professor Shashikala.
Yes, ma'am. Shashikala BM ma'am is currently working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Applications at Sri Jayachamrajendra College of Engineering, a constituent college of JSS Science and Technology University, Mysore, Karnataka. She has pursued her BSc from Kuvempu University, Master of Computer Applications from Bapuji Institute of Engineering Technology. She has a teaching experience of about 18 years. Her research interest includes health informatics, data mining, and machine learning approaches. Currently, she is working on classification of blood donors. The course of computer network is an important and compulsory course in computer science or information technology. Network protocols are abstract and difficult to understand. Today, we have Professor Shashikala ma'am who is delivering a talk on teaching computer networks using modern methods. I request Professor Shashikala ma'am to take over.
Thank you, Punya. Good afternoon to everyone. First, I will share this PPTs. Once again, good afternoon to everyone. Here, the NEP, that is National Education Policy, will promote the skill-based education and enhance the practical skills of the students. One of
Yeah, could I ask Yuratna to mute, please?
Good afternoon to everyone. The National Education Policy will promote skill-based education and enhance the practical skills of the students. Here, one of the key aspects of National Education Policy is to use the technology in learning process. So here in this session, I will brief some of the technologies that can be used for teaching computer network course. Computer network course is a key professional course for computer science and technology and for many other courses. And it is the practical major course, and it is very important for the students to master this course well so that they can acquire the knowledge and they will have the ability to solve the practical problems. And it has been found that the traditional teaching methods, they are not particularly suitable for this course. Therefore, teaching reform for computer network course is required. Here, I will brief the teaching content reform and explore some teaching methods and teaching modes reforms based on teaching practice. The teaching reform will help to raise the students' interest in learning, also in promote curriculum development and improve teaching learning outcomes. First of all, we will discuss why should we need to learn networking. First of all, everything is connected. For example, if we go our personal devices like TV, our watches, our tablets, all are connected. If we go for the enterprises devices, such as HVAC systems, security systems, lighting systems, all these are connected to some type of connection. These HVAC systems, they will provide heating and cooling to residential and commercial buildings. All the devices, that is like personal devices, they are connected, and enterprise devices like HVAC system or security system, they are connected to some other devices here, some other devices. And wireless is everywhere. Wireless is everywhere. Wireless connects to our smaller devices. So our tablets, our phones, things that generally don't have wires, that we cannot plug in with Ethernet cable into our phones, our watches. And if we go for the labs in universities, where we have 30 to 40 computers, do we need all those computers accessing the wireless networking? Generally, no. Generally not, because it has lot of sessions. We will be having lot of sessions in the university from morning to like up to 5 o'clock. There may be 4 sessions, and in each session there will be 30 to 40 systems. And here, these systems, they will require more bandwidth in larger devices like switches for switching capacity for all those devices. Computer network here, it helps users on the network to share the resources and in communication. Now we will move on to the important aspects, that is nothing but the uses and benefits of computer network. The first is file sharing. Networking of computers always helps the network users to share data files. We have hardware sharing. Many of the hardware devices such as printers, scanners, CD-ROM drives, hard devices. Here, these devices can be shared by the users, and without computer network, this device sharing is not possible. Application sharing. The application can be shared over the network, and the application allows to implement the client server applications. If you go for the communication, that is user communication, the network allows user to communicate using email, newsgroup, and video conferencing. Like this, many other methods or resources can be used for communication. Network gaming. A lot of network games are available, and here this gaming, it will allow the multi-users to play from different locations. Next, one more is the voice over internet protocol. This voice over internet protocol, it is a revolutionary change in telecommunication, which allows to send telephone calls using standard internet protocol rather than public switched telephone network. Next, the major components which are incorporated in the computer network. We have servers. The servers are the computers that hold shared files, programs, and the network operating system. These servers, they provide access to the network resources to all the users of the network. There are many different kinds of servers, and one server can provide several functions. For example, we have file servers, print servers, fax servers, communication servers, web servers, database servers, we have several types of servers. Sometimes these servers, they are also referred or they are also called as the host computers. Servers are powerful computers that store the data or application and connect to the resources that are shared by the user of a network. If we go for the clients are the computers that access and use the network and share the network resources. Transmission media, these are the facilities used to interconnect the computers in a network using either twisted pair wire, coaxial cable, and optical fiber cable. Any of the device can be used to connect to the network. And one more, that is the special expansion card, that is called as the network interface card. Each computer in a network has a special expansion card called a network interface card. The network interface card, the function of this network interface card, it prepares and sends the data, receives the data, and also controls the data flow between the computer and the network. And local operating system, if we go for the local operating system allows the personal computers to access files into a local printer and also use of one or more disks and CD drives that are located on a computer. And we have, for example, if we go for the local operating system, we have MS-DOS, Unix, Linux, and Windows 2000, like many operating systems we have. Network operating system. The network operating system is the program that runs on computers and servers that allows the computer to communicate over the network. And hub is a device that splits a network connection into multiple computers. And switch is similar to the hub, but built in with advanced features. Some advanced features are incorporated in the switch, and it is similar to the hub device. And when we talk about the computer network components, the other device that used to connect to a LAN with an internet connection is called the router. We have the router also. LAN cable, a local area network cable, and this LAN is also known as the data cable or the Ethernet cable, and it is a wired cable. It is used to connect a device to the internet or to the other devices like computers, printers, etc. These are the components of the computer network. Now here in the next, we will discuss about the computer network course here. The computer network and other related courses which are there in computer related professions, they are becoming more and more prominent. And this computer network course, it is a key professional course for computer science. And this course, the computer network course, is taken as a base course for many other elective courses also. And this course is one of the compulsory subjects of the computer related professional and postgraduate professional courses. Yes, it is the base of many elective courses. And in many of the universities or the colleges, they are offering the computer network course as a core course here. And the other related network course are considered as the elective courses. And this computer network course, it's a practical major course. And it is required for the student to master this course well so that they can acquire the ability to solve the practical problems and they can handle the challenges on the job in the future. Next, what are the challenges in teaching? Here, under the influence of the epidemic situation, the mode of network teaching has become the main topic of concern in the education field. That is how to teach to the students. That is through online mode. The teaching of computer network should not only reflect the interaction between the teachers and the students effectively, but it should also provide some of the simple methods or the simple ways and the convenient ways so that the student and the teachers they can be interacted in an efficient way here. Next is here. Next we will discuss what are the main problems. The main problems in the implementation of computer network teaching here. The first of all, when we go for the online teaching, here the teaching method is single. In the early stage of the emergence of network teaching, we have always thought that the future of education will be the computer teaching to master the power. However, with the gradual popularization and the use of network learning, we find that its effect is not perfect. Although there are many famous teachers and their teaching methods, here the online teaching, always it is a single here. The online teaching method, it is single. And this online teaching method, it is a process of mental activity for students who are facing the computer. The students will simply sit in front of the computer, they will be listening, and there will be no interaction with the teacher. Therefore, here the teaching method is single. Next, the teaching mode, the mode that is used for online courses, here it is also single. The teaching mode of online teachers is single. According to the survey, that is many of the students in the class found that the online teacher is only rigid to the content of the PPT reading and understanding. It's obvious because they have to complete the syllabus within that time frame, and the syllabus is to be covered within that class. Therefore, here they will be covering the content with the help of PPT, and they will make the students to understand. Yeah. But here the students feels that they ignore the knowledge of the students and other learning situation which is possible in offline mode, and it is not possible in case of online mode. Therefore, here the teaching mode of online teachers, it is single. If you go for the third point, in this case, there is a lack of interaction between the teachers and students. There is a lack of interaction between teachers and students. Here, many parents have found that their children in the online class is not able to lift the spirit and concentration. And this is the students themselves, they appear tired of learning behavior in the online mode here. However, it is also the result of lack of interaction between the teachers and students. There is a lack of interaction between the teachers and the students, and the active atmosphere, the absence of the active atmosphere, which is possible in the ordinary classroom, is not available in the online teaching. And there will not be the emotional communication between the teachers and the student, which is to be in the class. This is also absent in case of online mode, and it is difficult for the students to integrate into the online class atmosphere and enter into the best learning state. Here, the students, they lack the emotional communication with the teachers. And sometimes the students may feel difficult to enter into the online class atmosphere, and therefore The learning rate state of the student is also reduced. Next is analysis of the application of new teaching in computer network. What are the new teachings that can be incorporated in the computer network teaching? Reasonable arrangement of students' teaching method. Here, the use of new teaching techniques. It's not very complicated. And the new technology, the use of this new technology, it's not also simple. Compared with the online teaching, it pays more attention to students' knowledge and practical ability. Therefore, in the use of new teaching, the educators, always the educators need to arrange students' teaching method reasonably. We can combine the knowledge and practice of new teaching methods to arrange the network class and practice course properly. Here, both the knowledge and the practice of new teaching method can be used so that the network class can be made effectively. Both the practical class and also the network class can be made effectively for the students. And the reasonable arrangement has to be made by the teacher while teaching the network course. Emphasis on new practical courses. The practical courses, the practical courses not only refers the students' extracurricular practice, but also it refers to the students' extracurricular self-knowledge, self-review of knowledge. Here, the teachers, they should pay attention to the modular review and resource arrangement of students' knowledge when arranging the practical courses. The teacher has to plan according to the course content and also arrange the resource so that that can be used while teaching the course here. And we can arrange different ways to consult extracurricular materials and propose the topics that can help the students to practice independently. And the teachers, they can refer to the other books or they can refer to the any other resources so that using those materials, the student can learn independently. And these methods, they are the important embodiment of new teaching mode. Next is the combination of online teaching and classroom. That is the blended mode here. Although there are many shortcomings in online teaching, we cannot deny the advantages and also the importance of online teaching. Online teaching and classroom teaching can complement each other in teaching mode. Therefore, the combination of online teaching and the classroom teaching is one of the new teaching method. Like in the network course, while we are arranging the syllabus, some of the topics can be taught to the student in online mode, and some of the concepts can be taught in the class also. Therefore, here the combination of online teaching and the classroom teaching is also one of the new teaching method while teaching the course. Next, we have application steps. What are the application steps of new teaching in computer network method or in the computer network course? The first one is the preliminary preparation and consultation. The implementation of every education plan is phased. And in the process of implementation of the new teaching, the first job or the first good job is the preparatory work. The preparatory work in the early stage is to adjust the class type and also to arrange the course content. First, the teachers has to arrange the class type and also arrange the course content for that particular period of class. And at the same time, they can also consult more practical courses on the establishment of the online courses and skills. This is the preliminary step that has to be done while teaching the network course. Next is receive the feedback from the students in trial operation stage. Education means student centered. Always the education is the student centered. In order to, we have to implement whatever the methods we are using for teaching. It should be implemented to the students accurately. And the trial operation of new teaching is a specific process of teaching. Therefore, during this time, the teachers has to make use of some of the students to form experimental classes. When some of the students they have to consider for the experimental classes of new teaching. And at the same time, that is during the trial operation period, we should timely carry out the reasonable training. That is, the reasonable training should be given for the teachers. And then we have to receive the feedback from the students who are in the trial operation period here. We have to take the feedback from the students. Therefore, this type of experiment will help in the better implementation of the new network teaching. The next is adjustment of curriculum content in mature stage. After entering the mature stage, student receiving the new teaching may show different learning attitudes. Here we cannot guarantee that every student's learning state is perfect. It varies from one student to the another student. What we can be sure is that through the adjustment of the course content, the new teaching, it will cultivate the high level experimental class students for us. And these students will serve as role models in the field of teaching. Next, please. The importance of the applications of new teaching in computer network teaching. Here, the first point is it can allay the concerns of parents. During the online class, many of the parents find that their children can't concentrate during the online class. Therefore, the parents are worried about the quality of their students' learning. And parents also think that such a situation, that is online class situation, is not conducive to the students' learning. Therefore, the use of new teaching methods that can solve this problem. And it can also improve the students' learning enthusiasm, and this can allay the parents' concern. The new teaching methods can solve this problem. Whenever we incorporate the new teaching methods for the students, they will be engaged in learning process. Therefore, here they will be more active in learning the course. Next point, it can improve teachers' working enthusiasm. Many online teachers, they find it difficult while teaching in the online mode, because many of the teachers, they are used to the offline class and they are more enthusiastic while teaching the students face to face. They want direct interaction with the students. And but in the process of, that is the online classes, here they just explain in order according to the content of the courseware. And this new teaching methods, if the new teaching methods that are used, or that if they are applied in the teaching process, in that case, here this new teaching will exercise the teachers' new teaching methods and skills. And in this way, it can improve the motivation also. Next, we have, that is the combination of online teaching and practice makes student knowledge store more solid. Always the knowledge learning needs constant repetition. The repeated memory can form the permanent memory. Only the simple theoretical discussion, online classes, it will not provide the students with knowledge. Some extracurricular practice is required for learning of the students so that it will help the students to memorize the knowledge. Some extracurricular practice should be included in the learning content for the students so that it will help the students to better understand the concept and they can better memorize the knowledge. New methods of teaching. What are the new methods that can be incorporated in the network course or while teaching the course? What type of new teaching methods can be incorporated? Here, the first one is the flipped classroom. Flipped classroom. Here, flipped classroom. This flipped classroom, it is a model in which homework and lectures of the course, they are flipped. That is, they change the order of education process. In this flipped classroom method, they will watch the pre-recorded video lectures before they will attend the class. And when they enter into the class, that time, that classroom time, that can be used like problem solving or if conducting seminars or some playing some of the games which are related to the course and many other forms of the time spending can be done in the class. As or we can conduct some of the quiz or some questions or any problem solving questions can be asked based on the content that the student has watched in the pre-recorded video. And in case of this flipped classroom, the main goal of the flipped classroom is that here to provide the students with the ability to learn the course material at any time, at any place. The sum of the students, for example, if we go the learning of the students, it differs from one student to the another. Some of the students may be interested to read at the night time or they want to read in the early morning. Therefore, here this flipped classroom method, it will help the students to read the course materials at any time and they can read it from any place. And when students, they will come to the class, here they can solve the problems by using the knowledge that they have obtained from the recorded videos or some of the online reading materials. That is the main goal of this flipped classroom. And when the student masters the material, once he understands all the concepts that are given in the material and he is having the thorough knowledge of the concept, then he can move to the next topic here. He can continue with the next topic. If he is finding difficulties in understanding the concept, during that time, once again the student can repeat the course content. And though 2 or 3 times if he repeats the course content, if he finds still difficult to understand the sum of the concepts, in that case, here the students can prepare the list of questions to ask the instructor during the class hour. This is one of the new teaching method that can be used in computer network course. That is the flipped classroom. And here the advantages. What are the benefits? What are the benefits of the classroom technique? Here, as this is a pre-recorded video or online learning material, here the student will be having face-to-face interaction with the teachers. And flexible schedules will be there for the lessons and short video lessons they are more interesting to the students than long lessons in a big room with attention disturbing neighbors. Here, some of the students they feel that the short video lessons are more interesting than the concepts which are explained in the classroom with a disturbance from their friends. And one more advantage is that the students they are going to share the knowledge during the exercise in the classroom. Whatever the knowledge they have updated after watching the recorded videos in the classroom, they are going to share the knowledge and they reinforce their knowledge. And one advantage for the teachers is that they have to prepare the lessons only once. Only once they will prepare the video content or the learning material. Though there are advantages of the flipped classroom, there are some disadvantages of the technique here. That is the flipped classroom technique. Here, to implement this flipped classroom technique, we need the technology devices such as computers, notebooks, smartphones, and really the high-speed internet access service is also required here. And if we go for the students here, some of the students they may be irresponsible and they are disinterested, and those students may not watch the video lessons. And if we go for the teachers, they have to spend extra time to prepare the understandable and also interesting video lessons. They have to concentrate more and they have to exercise more to prepare the material in such a way that that material is easily understandable by the student and it should be interesting also. Those video lessons must motivate the students to watch the videos and to understand the concepts. And if we come for the university standards, here this it is difficult to implement the technique in the university standards requested by the government programs. Flipped classroom is one of the method that can be used to teach the computer network course here. This is the new method. And one more method we have called as the gamification. This gamification, it is the modern method of teaching that extremely become popular. The gamification is nothing but here in the education, it is the process of integrating the core syllabus into a mechanism of game with providing the participants with motivation and passion to study the course. This is one of the new method that is introduced in the teaching. In gamification, here some of the games are some of the games are played by the students or some of the games are given to the students. Here that games that will relate to the course content or the concepts of the course content. And this gamification, it will improve. It will improve the knowledge of the student and they will be more motivated to learn the study materials and their participation also increases and their passion to study the course is increased. This is the another method. This gamification can be applied in education. First one is understanding the target audience and the context. Whenever we are implementing this gamification in the course content, we have to first before defining the game, first we have to know the age and the skills of the student and their learning abilities of the students whenever they take part in the game. And the game should be framed in such a way that by considering all the parameters, the skills of the students and their age and their learning ability. Based on these parameters, the games which relate to the concept should be framed. Defining learning objectives. Defining the goals that should be achieved by the participants during the course. Structuring the experience, that is, the stages and the milestones, they are the powerful tools that enables the instructor to sequence the knowledge and quantify what the students need to learn and achieve by the end of game or at the end of the stage or milestone. Then after that, once all these rules are framed here, next we have to identify the resources. After dividing the course into stages, it is required to identify the resources. That is, the first is the tracking mechanism. A tool is required that provides the measurement of the participant progress here. That is the stages of the student when he completes the first level or the next level of the game. The tracking mechanism is required here. Currency. Currency is one of the measurement unit. The currency can be either in the form of money, or it may be the points or stars, or it may be like medals that are given for the student. And the level. Here, once the student has enough currency, that is, or enough points or the enough stars here, to move to the next level here. That means if the student is having the enough currency, for example, if we set to move to the next level, if the student earns the 10 points, then he can pass on to the next level. Next, we have to frame the rules also. A student has to complete the course material and answer the final questions to pass to the next level. That is, all the course materials that are given, that should be completed by the student, and at the end he has to take the quiz or the final questions that are framed by the tutor to pass to the next level. Next, applying gamification elements. The elements of the gamification, they are classified into self elements and social elements. The game can be either played by the single player or multiplayer. This is the another new teaching method that can be applied into the education. How to implement the flipped classroom and gamification into learning process to the network education. The first, we have to register the students to the virtual class. Once the students registers to the virtual class, then he can learn the materials by themselves that are given by the tutor. Materials may be the pre-recorded video sessions, or some of the materials that are shared with the student through in the online mode. Once the student learns these materials by themselves, then he can submit the online quizzes which are given by the teachers on the predefined time, and he can make the laboratory works on the simulators. The laboratory works can also be carried on the simulators. And once he finishes all these things, all the learning by use of the materials in the classroom. In the classroom, he can make the discussions with the tutor. The student can make the discussions with the tutor about the topics or the course content, and also he can do the laboratory work with the real devices. The student has practiced the laboratory works on the simulator. Now he can implement that knowledge with the real devices. And the classroom times can also be used to conduct the test. And these tests are conducted based on the video materials and the text materials that are given to the student for learning. Additionally, the tutor or the teacher, he can prepare the additional video lessons that are related to the concepts and upload them to the YouTube. And one example, if we go for this gamification, here the Cisco is developed this Cisco certification course are there here, and here this Cisco developed a set of games which are educating the computer networks to different categories of students. And one of the most popular game developed by Cisco is the binary game. And here in the binary game, that is in the figure, we can make out that here we have buttons in the row and we have a digit on the right hand side. And here the student, he has to choose the correct bit that represents the required digit to delete the row. And once the student completes that row, here then more rows are added, and once all the rows are finished by the student, then the game is over. And this is the technique that is used by the Cisco to make the student to understand about the binary digits. This is one of the gamification method that can be incorporated in the network. And one more example is that here this is the gamification which is organized by the student during the lecture hours. Here in the figure we can see that the two persons are throwing the ball, throwing the balloons to each other at the same time. And here this game, it can be used to explain the concept of full duplex and a half duplex channel. The full duplex, that is which will explain the concept of simultaneous data transmission and the reception over one channel. And half duplex, here the half duplex, the devices, they can transmit only one direction at one time, and with the half duplex mode the data can move into two direction but not at the same time. Here this type of game can be adapted, or this type of can be made can be played in the classrooms, so that the students can better understand the concept of half duplex and the full duplex here. Once these flip classroom and the gamifications are incorporated in the teaching, now here we can give some survey questions to the students. That is, we can ask the student, is the quality of the video lessons that are prepared by the instructor very good? And whatever the video lessons that are prepared by the instructor is understandable to the students? And we can ask the student, that is whether they have prepared the lessons mostly by using the video lessons that are prepared by the instructor, or we can also ask him, that is whether he to prepare the lessons, whether he has referred the other resources other than what the tutor has given. And we can ask him, that is the seminar, it is in the good format, to evaluate the level of the knowledge that you get from video lessons. And we can ask the students, that is, do you like to participate in lectures, some of the lectures that were prepared by the students, like the group mates? And if the quizzes are given to the students, then these quiz questions and the format, the quiz questions and the format are understandable, and they are according to, that is, up to their knowledge level. And we can ask them, that is, do you like the format of the laboratory works prepared by the instructor? And in general, at the end, we can ask him, that is, whether he has understood the concept of computer network. And one more question that can be asked him, that is, are the video lessons, they are better than the traditional lectures in lecture class? Like this, these type of survey questions can also be conducted once the new teaching methods. The new teaching method like a flipped classroom and also the gamifications that are introduced into the teaching method. These questions can be asked to the student to know the understanding level of the student and the opinion about the new teaching method from the student. Next is teaching content reform. Teaching the content reform in case of the network. In case of the network, always a top-down method, it is adapted to teach the computer network principle. Always, if we refer any of the textbook, always the textbook, it begins with the application layer and it works down the protocol stack. And the main rationale behind this top-down organization is that once the student he understands the applications. Once the student understands the applications, one can then understand the services, the network services that are needed to support this application. Therefore, in the textbook, always it is framed in such a way that in the top-down organization, beginning with the application layer, then to the other layers. Yeah. And in many of the universities, when they offer the computer network courses, generally the content that is included in the course is 5 layers here. It is always consists of usually the 5 layers. The physical layer, the data link layer, the network layer, transport layer, and the application layer. And here the teaching content reform. Always the teaching content reform of this course must cover the 3 aspects. One is the concept, the knowledge reasoning, and the application. The content of the teaching always it should focus on to the concept, the knowledge reasoning, and the application. And the teachers, they have to pay more attention to developing the students' understanding of the concepts and the application, so that the students find it easy and it should be acceptable by the students to understand the concepts and the application. And the teaching reforms in the course, it will help to raise the students' interest in learning. The students are more interested to learn the concepts when new methods are incorporated, and it promotes the curriculum development and improves the teaching and learning outcomes. Once the network course is designed, always in the course, in every university, the 5 layers are introduced in the network course. Now, what are the concepts that are to be covered in the each layer? If you go for the first, that is the physical layer. In the physical layer, first we have to begin with the basic principles. The basic principle has to be covered, and the transmission methods. The different transmission methods has to be, or the transmission modes that are used, that has to be covered. And then after this, the signal communication. Next, the new technologies, that is the newer technologies and the achievements of the modern science and technology that should be incorporated in the teaching process of these, the contents or the course materials of the network. And here the teachers, always the teachers, they have to make the abstract problems to concrete, and they can use the visualization method to explain more easily or more understandable to the students by using the visualization methods. The theoretical concepts of the network can also be explained by using the visualization tools. The application of coding and the modulation in computer network physical layers, they are particularly prominent. This is about physical layer. Once if we go for data link layer, in the data link layer, the concepts, the sum of the concepts in the data link layer, they are widely used in the real life. Therefore, here we have to focus on to the protocols, that is pollution detection protocol, point-to-point protocol, and high-level data link control protocol. Once the protocol concepts are covered, then we can move on to the error control mode, access control methods of channel division, and we can deepen the understanding of the basic concepts of the flow control. There are several mechanisms that are available for the flow control, all the concepts of the flow control, and reliable transmission mechanism to be covered in case of, that is, the data link layer. The network layer, the emphasis on the understanding of the basic concepts, and processing the practical router problems. That should be given more importance, and the basic concepts of the router, like router forwarding concept, static routing, dynamic routing, and the IPv4 address, ARP protocol, that is address resolution protocol, and network address translation, subnetting principle, and principle of CIDR classification. IPv6 address has to be covered. And the routing protocols and the algorithms, it should include the OCPF protocol, that is the Open Shortest Path First protocol, and border gateway protocol. Mobile IP address should be included as the key contents in the routing protocols and the algorithms. And this theory, the theory of the algorithms, that is the knowledge and some of the practical problems that can be solved by the use of the associated data structure algorithms. The algorithm, the routing problems and the can be practically implemented by using the data structure algorithms. The transport layer, here first we have to cover the services that are provided by the transport layer. Then we can move on to the connectionless and the connection oriented services, TCP protocol, UDP protocol, and TCP flow control mechanisms and other congestion control principles to be covered. Once the connectionless and the connection oriented services or the concepts are understood by the student, then we can move on to the next, that is we have to identify or we have to relate the relationship between the TCP and the IP layers. The relationship between these should be clarified. And here the teachers has to present examples which will give more appropriate for the explanation, and pointing out the briefly to the some of the applications in the computer science and technology, such as by using the transmission control protocol, by using the three-way handshake agreement. And this example can be used by the teachers to make the student to understand the concepts more easily. This some of the examples can also be included while covering the concepts. And based on, that is based on the number of teaching hours, the teachers may extend the topic. Next comes to the last layer, that is the application layer. In the application layer, the client server model or point-to-point model, and we have to explain the basic principles of domain name server system and establishing the file transfer protocol server, and some of the applications or the basic principles of the email server and establishing web server. All these are the applications. These applications has to be covered in the application layer. And these applications, they are closely linked to the actual applications. Therefore, while uh, while discussing the application layer, the students, they are more enthusiastic and they are more interested in learning the concepts of the application layer. And these applications are related to the real world. So here in this layer, the students, they must learn the related basic knowledge more deeply in order to understand the application layer. In order to understand the application layer. Now, next, what are the teaching method reforms that has to be done in the teaching for computer network course? First is prepare the lessons. We have to prepare the lessons carefully and organize all the contents of the lessons. Organize the teaching content. There are many relevant concepts. There are many relevant concepts in the computer network curriculum, and students find it difficult to understand and remember. Some of the concepts may be difficult for the students to understand and also to remember. Therefore, here the teachers, they should address the different narratives on the same definitions in different versions of the textbook, and to find out the kind of definition the students can grasp and accept easily. If the definitions are different, the issue is to find the relationship between them. And if we have the similar definitions, in that case, the main objective is to find out the differences. For example, we can consider the relationship between the gateway and routing. Here, we have the similar definition, but we have to find out, the main objective is to find out the differences here. That is the gateway and the routing here. And the teachers, they should have a thorough grasp of the teaching materials, and they have to consider it repeatedly, and it should help the students to grasp the knowledge in the first place. Teachers should start with the basic concepts and the theory and ultimately implement the basic way to solve the problem. This is the first teaching method reform. Next is using flexible methods to simulate students. The teachers, they should constantly seek to find a good method that will stimulate the student interest in learning. And teaching methods can be applied in various forms. That is, whatever the methods we have discussed in the earlier. And that is the flipped classroom and gamification also we have described here. And one more method, teaching method we have is the analogy method. Here in this analogy method, the problem is related to the real world problem, so that it will improve or it will make the students to think the concepts relating to the real world here, real world problem. The next one is the combination of theory and practice. Combination of theory and practice. A combination of concrete and abstract here. I like this one here. The combination of concrete and the abstract here. In many of the concepts in the computer network, they are abstract here. And some of the definitions, they are given bluntly. Therefore, it becomes difficult for the students to understand them. Here, the teachers, they first, they should explain the concept beginning with the example by giving some specific example, and then they can move on to the abstract theory. And this will be easier for the student to understand. For example, if we go for that is the explanation of the PC, can find the other components in the data link layer Here, the teacher should give a real life example. That is, how to find the student on the campus. Relating the problem with a real world problem, it will make the students too easy to understand the concepts, and they will imagine when one explains the concept relating to the real world problem. Yeah. And it will help the student to understand the basic principle. The next one is the combination of theory and practice. Introduction of practical examples of network application stimulates student interest. Always the practical examples are more interesting to the students. For example, if we consider that is, for example, if there is a flood somewhere, then we can ask the students, that is, the main highway path is closed, then what are the different routes that they are choosing to reach to the destination. In that case, here, that is, by giving this example, here the routing selection problem can be explained in the network layer. Like this, if we are combining the theory with the practice of combining with the real world problem, here the students can understand and he can imagine and he can come out with the solution, and that solution can be related with the original problem here, that is related to the concept. And it improves the student interest in learning and also enhances the student ability to analyze and also to solve the problems. The combination of theory and practice is very important in the teaching. Timely training and infer other things from facts. Consulting a large number of problems. Always it sets to identify the ideas of problem solving, and it will help to train the students in logical thinking. Exercises which include the consolidated concepts. They can be directly related to the computer subjects, and those exercises can be used to transfer the knowledge and also to strengthen the basic knowledge and the skills of the students. And that can also be used to train the student thinking ability and develop the ability of analysis and solving the problems. Next, we have the full use of multimedia teaching improves teaching effect. Several features of multimedia teaching methods are available, and these teaching methods, they are more lively and they are more interesting to the students, and they are motivated. They are motivated with the multimedia teaching, and it is also informative to the students. Therefore, here in that teaching method, we can use the multimedia also, and it will make the student easier to understand the concepts, and it will raise the interest of the students. Next is the full use of network assisted teaching platform enriches teaching resources. Due to the limitations of the classroom teaching time, because the classroom teaching time always it is scheduled for 45 minutes or 1 hour. Because of the limitation of this one here, a lot of information cannot be fully conveyed to the students. Therefore, in that case, this network platform, it plays a good secondary teaching space, and it provides a new learning mode to support the independent exploration and multiple interaction, situation creation, and cooperative learning and sharing the resources. For both the teachers and the students, the network platform, it provides a powerful teaching and learning virtual environment, and it becomes a bridge between the teachers and the students. and it promotes sharing a large number of excellent teaching resources. The limitation of the classroom, teaching can be overcome by the use of network. And the network platform, it can realize a multitude of teaching functions. That is, here by the use of the network assisted method, here the teachers they can upload the course materials or the teaching plans or some of the computer related exercises or some questions to the students, or some experiments can also be uploaded here, and many other things that are related to the concepts that can also be uploaded by the teacher. And the teachers, they can also release the related information and interact between the lecturing and tutoring. And the teachers, they can create a database so that the students do online exercises and self-test. That can also be done here by the use of the network platform. The time limitation of the classroom, that can be overcome by the use of the network platform. And it provides many opportunities for both the teachers and the students. So the concepts can be briefly explained by the teacher, and the students can easily understand through the network platform. Next one is focus on experimental aspects improves students' practical abilities. When we teach the new content, always we are going to raise a problem according to the course content. For example, we can raise the problem for the student, that is when we are teaching the routing protocol, that is we can ask the student, that is what will you do if you design a routing protocol. If the question is raised in this way here, in that case the student will take active part in the discussion, and he may propose a solution. Sometimes some of the students, they can propose the solution also here. Although whatever the solution they have proposed here, though it is not good enough, at least they get the sense of achievement. They will be actively involved, and those students feel that they have achieved the questions here. Then we will discuss the scheme here. That is the solution that is provided by the student, and then we can make out the advantages and the disadvantages of the solution, and solution that is provided by the student. Then we can move on to the solution that is described in the textbook. When we are doing this type of exercises, the student can understand why the protocols designed in this way. He will be having the ability to understand the design of the protocol, and he can understand the concepts. And at the end, we can compare these two solutions. That is the solution which is provided by the student, and also we can compare the solution with the textbook solution here. By exercising this type of method with the students, here the students it will improve the thinking level of the student, and it will create the spirit in the student, and they will be more interested in learning. And sometimes whatever the problem we have raised, sometimes it's too difficult to solve. During that time, the students cannot propose a solution. Sometimes the students feel that they don't know the answer for this one here, or they don't have the solution for the proposed problem. In that case, the tutor or the teacher, he can make the analogy between the problem and the real world in order to enlighten them here. That is, we can raise the problem by analogy method here. That is, for example, for the routing protocol scheme, that is, we can make the analogy for the routing protocol scheme with the express delivery system. That is, we can ask the student, that is, with the analogy problem, that if you are a sorting clerk of an express company, then how you are going to deal with the express packages according to their destination address. Usually, the students, if the problem is raised in relating with the real world problem, in that case, here the student can solve this kind of problem with their life experience. And then we can discuss the sorting method proposed by them here. And we can point out the similarities between the sorting method and also the routing protocol. And at last, when we discuss all these things, that is by raising the analogy problem and the solution provided by the student, at last we will ask them to design the routing protocol once more according to the sorting method, which has been compared with the real world application. Here, after this exercise, when we relate the problem with the or the concept with the analogy method, in that case, here the student will feel easy and he can give the solution to the problem. Therefore, we have to focus more on experimental aspects, which will improve the student's practical ability. That is, in some while discussing about some of the teaching reform method, we came across about the analog method. Here, this analog method is one of the method of teaching the concepts. Here, it enables the valid concepts from a familiar domain to be used to challenge the students' alternative conceptions, with the result that the learner may be stimulated to reconstruct his or her knowledge. And we draw a parallel between the computer network and also the last, which I have explained, the express delivery system, to explain the routing protocol here, to express the design of the routing protocol. Here we can make the parallel, or we can draw the parallel between these two here, that is the network problem and also the real world problem, so that the student can understand the protocol more easily. And we do not impart the knowledge directly. That is, the concepts are directly we are not going to teach to the student. But here, first we are going to raise a problem, and then the student must think it over the problem, and before learning a new knowledge point. This is the analogy method here. Then the teaching flow. The teaching flow in case of analogy method. In this case, the teacher raises a problem. When the problem is raised by the teacher, can student propose a solution? Can student propose a solution? If the student proposes the solution for the problem, then we can discuss the solution. The solution that is proposed by the student. Next, we will describe the solution that is proposed in the textbook. Then we make the comparison of these two solutions. That is the solution proposed by the student and also the solution that is prepared in the textbook. Sometimes when the teacher raises a problem, the student may find it difficult and he cannot propose the solution. In that case, we can make the analogy between the issue with the real world problem here. Once again, here the teacher raises the analogy problem. The students, they propose the solution of the analogy problem. That is, whatever the analogy problem that has been raised, the students will propose the solution. We will discuss the solution for that analogy problem. Then at the end, we make the analogy between the solution with the solution of the original problem. That is, the comparing of the solution that is given from from the analogy problem and also the solution for the original problem. Yeah. This is the teaching flow in case of analog method. For example, if we consider here the figure, the left side figure, that is the computer network architecture figure here, and the right hand figure, that is it is shows that is how a mail is delivered from sender to the receiver. Here, that is the computer network architecture. Here it is made or it is related with the mail system here. That is one-to-one analog relationship is made from computer network architecture to the mail system. And whatever the protocols that are defined or that we are going to cover in the computer network architecture, they are abstract. But if we come for the analogy problem, that is the mail system, in that case, here the protocols, they are more visible. That is, they are more visible and they are more tangible. In this case, the students will be more inspired by the express delivery system when he studies the computer network, and then he can relate this analogy method to the network concept. Here are some of the problems that are given in the table, that is which makes the relationship between the analogy problem and the knowledge point of the network codes. For example, here in the first one, in the first column, we have the knowledge point, that is the computer network architecture. If two computers can, the problem that is raised in the network architecture is that if the two computers can communicate each other, what softwares and hardware do we need? For this one here, we can make the analogy problem. That is, if you are a boss of express company, what kind of people do you need? And same way, if you go for the knowledge point of the physical layer, that is the function of the physical layer can be related with the function of the road. Same way, the data link layer. Here, for the data link layer, the function of the data link layer can be explained with the analogy problem of the function of courier, and the protocols, that is collision detection protocols. Here, the problem that is raised is that design a method with which several computers can exchange the data by bus. Design a method, the analog problem is design a method with which several people can exchange the information in a classroom. Like this here, relating to the computer network, here several, that is the problems, for the problems, an analogy problem is designed here. Then we move for the mini projects. The mini projects can be given as an exercise to the students here. Here it is an important to design the effective laboratory exercises for undergraduate students to motivate their creativity. The effective laboratory exercises should be designed which will motivate the students, and their creativity will also be increased. And the mini project based learning, it is a key pedagogical method for teaching of advanced computer network. For example, it will help the students to understand the application layer services like the domain name server system that can be assigned to the student as a mini project here. When we assign this type of, that is the applications to the students, they can easily understand that is the services that are provided by the network here. And one of the major, that is most important in case of computer network is the packet tracer tool. This is the popular one. The network configuration is the same for both on virtual equipment and also the real one. The students did not find it different both in the virtual equipment and also the real one. Mini projects can be given to the students as exercises in the course. Next, we have simulators. This is simulators that can be used in the practical course here. And these simulators, they are the best way to understand some of the most difficult concepts related to the computer design. And these include many elements working all together, and sometimes all those concepts which are difficult to understand and which are difficult to manage, or a lot of study or lot of practice also makes it difficult to understand. In that case, the simulators helps a lot to the students. And it's a full interactive application that helps the user to improve and also master the knowledge about the computer networking with the usage of very simple interface and with very descriptive didactic way of working. The computerized simulations and animations, they are the best educational options for the students and also for the teachers, so that they can make the students to understand the concepts with more interesting and better way. And the animations which are available, they will provide the learners with explicit dynamic information. Visualization is an absolutely necessary keyword, and it is an idea to improve the learner's understanding level. Several simulated tools are available here. I will name some of the tools. One is the OpenNet tool here. It is a modeler, it is a commercial simulator, and it supports the variety of LAN and WAN networks. And we have JSIM tool, and this tool implements the autonomous architecture based on the components in the Java programming language. And it introduces the JSIM, introduces the centralized management independent instances of the simulation execution, and it also allows the active instances for global monitoring of simulation time. And one more, that is the NS2. It is a district event simulators. When we started the computer network course here in the early, that is before like 7 to 8 years, we used NS2 simulators in our lab here. NS2, it is the discrete events network simulator, which provides the substantial support for simulation of TCP routing and multicast protocols over a wired and wireless network. And here these NS2 simulators, they are implemented in C++. And the next version of the simulator we have is the NS3 here. And NS3 is the open source discrete event network simulator, and which targets primarily for the research and the educational use. And it is licensed under GNU, and it is available for the research and development. And one more simulator we have is the Kiva NS. It is also a free open source application with an user friendly interface. And it has been programmed in Java. It created in order to simulate the computer networks with the TCP/IP architecture. And this application has been developed as an autonomous virtual laboratory, and it will permit the students of the courses about the network, computer networks, to carry out the experiments. The students can carry out the computer network experiments in the virtual laboratory here. It may be related to the IP routing or any of the other complex concept like routers, switches, or the hubs. Next, we have the NetSim tool here. It is also one more network simulator tool that is used for network lab experimentation and research here. And This simulator, it is an application of the Cisco system networking hardware and the software, and it is designed to aid the user in learning the Cisco IS command structure. And it is a window-based product and that simulates the wide variety of the Cisco routers. This is developed by Cisco here and used for the routers. And we have some of the routing protocols, and it is supported by the NetSim, and it also supports the different LAN and WAN protocols, including the PP, that is the point-to-point protocol, ISDN, and frame relay. Now, there are different, we have discussed about some of the tools that are available in, with simulators here. One case study that is about the network simulators. Computer assisted simulation can model a hypothetical and real-life objects or the activities on a computer, which can further be studied to access how the system functions. And simulation, it is the imitation of the real-world object, state of affairs, or process. Simulations are often modeling in nature, machine, or human system so as to gain insight into their function. And these simulators, they provide nearly accurate reproductions, most of the features of the environment, like noise, probability of the loss of alteration of data. And in addition to this one here, the important mechanism which helps in understanding is the interaction between the various systems. That is the parts which may be difficult to recreate or to control in the real world. That can also be done with the help of simulators. And as a part of the modern technologies, the simulators, they are widely used for testing and the performance and the optimization and measurement. And also in safety engineering, and we have many applications in training and also in education. The simulators, they are often they allow the user for the implementation of the protocols, transmission, propagation, and other communication aspects here. So, in the network course, that is the computer network course, the simulators can be used to explain many of the concepts that are related to the network here, like the transmission, propagation, and the reception or the other communication aspects can also be explained with the help of the simulator. The main basic features of the simulator is that it has to allow defining the characteristics of the system that one aims to model, and it should serve the general purpose, and it should be able to provide the default behavior of the system. For example, if you go the communication network simulator, it should have the features to model a few transmission media here. The transmission media like air and fiber optics. And the simulators, they must be flexible and enough to allow the users to define the objectives by utilizing what the simulators offers. For example, in communication networks research, users, they create the newer protocols or the approaches to a particular challenge. Therefore, the simulators must be flexible here. And they expect the simulator to provide pluggable features, that is the additional features, which will enable them to quickly execute the components that they have designed using with the other available features. The features may be available may be allowed in a particular format by a simulator. This format is important in the selection of the simulator. And if we go for this one here, that is the input-output from the real system. This is the next important feature. That is the format of the input and the output data from the system. And the input data necessary, they are the necessary for setting the main parameters of the model. That is for the transmission characteristics, if we have the interval array rates of traffic and the channel loss. And these output data are also necessary to validate the functionality or to calculate the importance of the obtained result. And equally important is the format of the data that is used to specify the input or collect the output. Since creating the input data files or rendering and analyzing the output results should not become a task of its own. And design the experiments and the simulation runs. Here, this involves the designing of the whole experiment here. In case of this one here, it includes various aspects, such as the details about each simulation and what are the preferences for the data to be collected, the simulation runs, the time duration of each of the simulation runs. It may also involve finding out what support the simulation has for synchronizing the task, and also random number generator and such optional details. Here, this is the architecture of the NS2 here. The NS2, it is the discrete event simulator here for the network simulation. And here, the actions in the NS2, the actions are associated with events rather than the time here. The architecture consists of 5 components. The 5 components are event scheduler, network, LCL, OTCL library, and TCL 8.0. And here the components, whatever the components we have here, the event scheduler, most of the network components here, they are implemented in C++ for efficiency reason. It is implemented in the C++. And NS2 makes the use of the discrete event schedulers to implement the event scheduler components. And here the components are available to the OTCL component through the OTCL linkage that is implemented using TCL, and simulation scripts are written in the OTCL language. It is an object-oriented extended TCL interpreter. And all the reading and the configuration of C++ files can be very cumbersome. Therefore, here in case of NS2, we can use the scripting language on top of the C++ in order to control and make change easier for the network developers. These are some of the components of NS2. And here the network elements of NS2, always the elements of elements are arranged in the hierarchical way here. And the TCL object is the superclass. And a subclass of the TCL object is the NS object class. And it is the superclass of all the basic network component objects that handles the packets. And NS object, it is divided into 2 subclasses. One is the connector and another one is the classifier. Once again, this connector is the superclass of all basic network objects that have only one output data. In case of classifier, it is the superclass of all the switches, and it is having the multiple output data. If we go for this one here, the NS3 architecture, it is also the discrete event network simulator, and whatever the that is drawbacks we have in the NS2, that is start from the scratch using C++ or Python. Here to allow the users to take the advantage of the full support of the each language, and in order to achieve the scalability, a very large number of simulated network elements, the NS3 architecture supports, or it supports the distribution of simulation here. And the architecture of this NS3 is similar to the Linux computer with the internal and application interfaces such as network to device drivers and socket. And some of the features of the NS3 are that it is the simulation models are implemented using C++ objects, and they are wrapped through the Python. And the simulation is based on the use cases in order to allow the simulator in order to interact with the real world here. As the simulation is based on the use cases, here the real world problem can be explained very easily here. And these use case models, they will relate to the real world problem. They can be related to the real world problems here. And NS3 is written in C++ with a Python scripting interface. Several new mechanisms are that exist in C++ were not available in C are used in NS3 here. And one more, that is the discrete event we have is the Omnet Plus here. It is similar to the NS3 and it is implemented using the component based architecture to promote the structure and the reusable models. And Omnet distributors are available for both the Unix and the Windows based systems. And here in the figure, we have the internal architecture of the network simulator, Omnet T++. The model component library here, it consists of the code and the compound modules. And the models are initiated and concrete simulation models. It is created by the class library sim. The model only interacts with this sim library. ENVR contains the code that is common for all the three user interface libraries. Next, when we go for with the architectural comparison of these three network simulators, that is the NS2, NS3 and Omnet T++, here the integrability, that is the ability to make separately developed components of the system to work correctly together. And if you go for the reusability, here the degree at which the existing application can be reused in the new application. That is the reusability of the model or the application that has been developed that can be applied to the other models. The testability, it is the ease with which the software can be made to demonstrate with the faults. And flexibility, the ability for the solution to adapt to the possible or to the future changes in its requirement. And the complexity, it is nothing but the amount of interaction between the modules in the system. When we compare all these features with the simulators NS2, NS3 and Omnet T++, here it appears to be excellent for Omnet T++. The integrability and the reusability and flexibility, it is excellent for Omnet T++, and testability is good. But if we for NS2, all these are limited here when you compare with the other simulators. So in the network course here, many of the simulation, that is the many of the practical exercises, they are implemented by using NS3 here. It is an open source. It is available. And this programming language, if we go for the programming language, it is NS2 is implemented using C++. Same way here, the NS3 is developed using the distributed completely in the C++ programming language to implement the whole system. And if you go for the Omnet T++, it uses the topology description language, that is NED, network description. This language has been designed to scale well to design the topologies. And if you go for the usability of these simulators, that is in the course, we can use this NS2 as a visualization component, and this visualization component called NAM is present in the NS2, and this component is not dedicated to the mobile and ad hoc networks. Here, this component NAM, it uses the trace file to generate the network animation, but it cannot be used for accurate simulation analysis. For accurate simulation analysis, we cannot go for the NS2 here. And an extended version of NAM called Interactive NS2 Protocol and Environment Confirmation 2, that is to support the visualization and animation of NS2 based wireless simulation. And the graphic display in case of NS3 remains under extensive development. And this NS3 simulator, it is equipped with the 5-visit visualizer. And this can be used for debugging purposes, like when the packets are being dropped, and all these are developed mostly by using the Python language. And this 5-vis, it is more compatible and it is more powerful when we compare with the NAM, which comes with the simulator here. And we have another animator called as the NetAnim. It is the multi-platform GUI toolkit for animation interface. We can use this one here. It is the NetAnim. And OMNet T++, it is having the advanced features, advanced graphic user interface with intelligent support. The visualization models is decoupled from the simulator and can display many details of the scenarios being used, like objects, movement of the trails, and discovered network connectivity, discovered network routes. All these things can be visualized by using the simulators here. These can also be used in the teaching method to make the students to understand the concepts, to understand the concepts in the network. And it also provides visualization features both in 2D and 3D depending upon the user needs. If you go for the usability comparison of all these three simulators, here once again the NS3 and OMNet place. It is very acceptable. It's acceptable and it is excellent when compared to the NS2 here. For the parameters, the GUI, user support, and the learning time, it is very short in case of OMNet T++. And the usefulness is more when with NS3 and OMNet Plus. This is about the computer network course that we are going to include in our syllabus, and how the teaching methods, that is the new teaching methods that can be incorporated while teaching the network to the students here. I will conclude this one here. My topic, that is first, computer networks. It has many applications, the important users and the benefits of the computer network, and in teaching, what are the challenges in teaching network course, and what are the new methods of teaching that can be used in the network course, and teaching content reform for all the layers, that is for all the network layers, and the teaching methods reform. The content is related to the syllabus or the content that we have included for the curriculum, and different methods that can be used to teach the network that we have that I have briefed out in teaching methods reforms. And at the end, I covered one network simulator, that is the case study. We have different simulators. Which simulators can be used for teaching. Thank you. Thank you. If any questions are there, you can post the questions in the chat box so that those questions can be discussed. If there are no questions, then I will wind up the session. Thank you for patience listening. And if you have any queries, then you can post so that I will answer to those queries through mails. Thank you, everyone. As I am the coordinator of this workshop, I will wind up this session. And once again, we will meet tomorrow, the last day of the session.
Shashikala ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Actually, you explained in detail so much. Though I'm not from the technical side, I was just trying to grasp everything what you were telling. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all the explanation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, tomorrow we will meet sharp at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Hello, dear participants. There is a small correction. Tomorrow we are going to start the session at 8:30. Thank you.